Hey guys, welcome to the CGM podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kurt Falis, or Chip. Some of y'all keep calling me that. Thanks to this guy, my co-host, senior pastor here at Green Acres, Michael Gossett.
Yes, I apologize about that, Chip. I thought it was endearing.
It kind of is. I'll confess.
So you do like it, don't you? Tell everybody, because people actually get onto me sometimes. They're like, "Hey, you should stop calling Kurt Chip."
Well, I've got just a funny story. So the other day, it was a few weeks ago, I was getting to baptize some elementary age girls. And so I didn't go through their counseling, but kind of a handoff. I said, "Hey, Kurt, can you baptize them?" Yeah, I'd love to. These two sisters. And you met us in the hallway. And I'm just meeting these girls. Their grandparents are with them. And you say, "Oh, girls, hey, this is great. Hey, is Mr. Chip getting to baptize you today?"
Yeah.
So it was just this funny whole thing that happened. Well, it ends up, so we sign these certificates for people to remember the day that they're baptized. And, just a cool little thing they can put.
You sign your name.
Yeah. And so the girls, as I'm signing my name, they're like, "Hey, Mr. Chip." And so...
Did you sign it,
Let's
Chip?
just say Kurt Falis, and in parentheses, Mr. Chip made it on
No way.
baptism
Well, all right.
form, so.
Well, guess what? We did it.
We did
I mean, I feel like we've arrived
That's
with
official.
your name.
Yeah.
If it's on someone's baptism certificate, will that be in the Lamb's Book of Life?
Fingers crossed. Me and old Pete going to talk it out up there.
Okay, St. Pete. All right. That's awesome. So it is endearing, for everyone concerned about Kurt's feelings.
It's okay.
It is endearing. We love to poke fun at each other and just have a good time.
Yeah, well, and today's episode's going to be a little fun.
But what do you call me, though?
The Dr. Pastor.
Dr. Pastor.
And has that caught on? Because I know I keep using it.
So I get emails now from our staff, and it says Dr. Pastor. So what you have done is catching on. So bravo to you.
I always wanted to be a trendsetter.
Yeah.
And it's finally happening for me.
Well, you did it. I do want to bring something up, so I'm going to close that. Yeah. So tell us about the Shroot Farms.
Well, this is a spot, a little bed and breakfast that Lauren and I really just had a great experience at.
Yeah.
Some woodworking, the making of manure and different things. But really, it's a show we've referenced before, a little television show.
I don't watch it.
You don't watch it, sure, no one would.
Yeah, no one would ever.
A character on the show, Dwight Shroot, has the Shroot Farms bed and breakfast.
He has the largest beet farm in Pennsylvania.
Without a doubt. And my awesome wife gave me this for Christmas.
That's
and
awesome.
because we're starting to get into the holiday season, right? Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
Hey,
I thought,
it's next week.
Next week. How else to get in the season?
All right, so this is my favorite holiday.
Okay.
And it's kind of debatable whether or not it is my favorite holiday or not, but I love Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And I'm a food guy.
Yeah.
I love food. And that's basically what Thanksgiving has been about to a degree. Mm-hmm. But also it's my favorite holiday because it's basically the opening, the segue to Christmas. Yeah. And I love Christmas.
The next about 6 weeks or so, it's a highlight of my year.
Oh, man.
So excited. The weather's right for me, like it's a little cooler.
Yeah, the weather's great.
I appreciate a good cooler weather.
Yeah.
There's always good food
going
on, the music, everything about it. I just get excited for it. And so today's episode, as we kind of transition here.
As we digress.
5
minutes into the episode.
is we want to just take a moment and we want to talk about this whole idea of Thanksgiving and the season that we're finding, a season to be thankful. Yeah. And just to kind of prime us here a little bit, I did pull a couple scriptures, right? Because this is a podcast, Christian podcast. Here we go.
It's the bread of life.
Yes. Meal connection too for it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Psalm 105. Oh, give thanks to the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the peoples. Sing to him. Sing praises to him. Tell of all his wondrous works. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually. Remember the wondrous works that he has done. His miracles and the judgments he uttered.
That's right.
I wanted to read that as we're starting here, because as we get into Thanksgiving, yes, it's the food. Yes, it is the football on TV. Yes, it's connecting with friends and family. But there's also something to be said about pausing and reflecting, what has God done? And that the author there in Psalm 105, that's what he's doing.
Yes.
And you go through the rest of that passage, which is great, tells all the story of the people of Israel coming out of Egypt and going through the wilderness and into the promised land, and how God provided and did great miracles and works to give the people of Israel the promised land. And so I think that's fitting as we're talking about an episode here of being thankful. What are things we're thankful for in this past year? And
the psalmist, I love that you brought that psalm up, because it's as a believer, as a follower of Jesus, when you lack thanksgiving, it is truly the gateway of apathy. I mean, it really is. When you do not live a grateful, thankful heart, it really is the segue, the gateway to apathy in your walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
Because this is why over and over again, like even with the Shema in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and Psalm 105 and on and on and on, give thanks to the Lord over and over, right? Is because it's a reminder of what God has done for us, in us, and through us. All the time, Israel was being given this charge. Remember what the Lord has done. Remember his good works. Remember his mighty hand. Remember how he did this. Remember how he led you out of the oppression of Egypt, over and over and over again. And it's the same for us. And Thanksgiving for a believer is special because it's an intentional pause in our regular rhythm of life to just say, God, thank you for your hand.
Yeah.
And not just thank you for our food, thank you for this day, but God, thank you for your salvation. Thank you for your sustaining power. Thank you for the freedom that you give us. Thank you, and to have that grateful heart. That's why daily we should wrestle with thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like an honest wrestling, to not rush through Thanksgiving, but to press in and to really recognize, God, how am I thankful today? And to remember his hand. Because when you don't remember, naturally you forget. All right.
Yeah.
So there's nothing profound about that statement. But when you don't remember, you naturally forget. And you forget the hand of God and all of those things that he has done.
Well, and you're elevating yourself.
Yeah,
Like
that's exactly right.
Yeah, you're elevating yourself when you're not being thankful and acknowledging what God's done. Okay, so Michael, kind of putting you on the spot here.
Oh, no.
Right?
Nope. I put you on the spot the last episode, so it's only right that you put me on the spot.
Well, a few episodes back, and I got a lot of positive feedback on this. We had Hickson on the podcast, Hickson Frank, our discipleship pastor,
yes.
and I gave some rapid-fire questions to him.
Are you going to do it to me?
I'm not going to do that now, but I am going to do it soon. But
I think you should.
What I want to ask you now, though, is are there three things for you that just, here's your sitting, that in the past year, personally, Michael Gossett, what are three things that you were thankful for in this past year?
Wow.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot.
To narrow it down to three, so I keep a daily prayer list, and so because I'm ADD, and so I have to have a prayer list, or I am just aimlessly like, what did I just even say? All right, have you ever done that in your prayer life?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not alone. All right, so I like to keep a prayer list for multiple reasons, to keep me on track and to remember, okay, but also so that I can look back and make notes of when the Lord answers those prayers. Yeah. For the past 3 years, Katie and I have been, since Reagan has been born, which is our second child. Since she's been born, we've been praying for her salvation. But for the past 3 years, we've been intentionally saturating our prayers with salvation, Reagan's salvation, because she was like so close. She was asking questions, and so it was just on our mind. And this past year, she gave her life to Jesus, and I got to baptize her, and so that is a highlight, for any dad. But we also got to baptize my oldest, Riley. And so we got to baptize Riley and Reagan this past year. And it was just a beautiful moment because, for Riley, she kind of walked through the steps of salvation with our children's director or whatever at the time. Long story short, but then she actually had that transformation take place in her life. And she came to Katie and I one day. I mean, she said the sinner's prayer, walked through that. We walked with her through that. I mean, it wasn't flippantly or anything like that, but she came to us and she told me, she said, Dad, I don't think I'm saved. And this is Riley. And I'm like, baby, what are you talking about? I mean, and we started pressing in and we started just listening to her heart. And Katie, I was gone one night at a meeting for the church, but I was gone and they were having a discussion. And it was a disciplinary discussion, but Katie brought it back to the gospel. And Riley gave her, in the middle of being in trouble, Riley gave her life to Jesus. And that was incredible. And so we got to baptize her with her sister this past year. And so those are two highlights. But also, man, trying to not be self-serving or anything like that. Man, I am so grateful that God called me to be the pastor of Green Acres. Amen. And that is beyond anything that I would ever dream of in my life, or it's beyond anything that I would ever, there is not enough ambition in the world to try to aim for something like that. And God just put someone who is definitely not qualified, someone who is not experienced enough, someone who doesn't deserve it. You list whatever you want. I promise you, I don't have it. And but just because of God's mercy and His grace that He allowed me to step into that position. And man, I'm just so grateful that God would ever do that and allow me to pastor any church, much less one as incredible as Green Acres.
As a member of Green Acres, a staff member, we're all excited because we see God's hand on you. So it's a pretty cool, we're also thankful. Yeah. But cool to hear your perspective on that.
Oh man. Yeah. It's better than anything I could dream. I'm just so, just grateful for the fact that God would allow me to be a part of His kingdom work.
Yeah. When
He could write His gospel in the stars, He could do it by any other means. But He called me to preach the gospel, and I'm just so grateful. Wow. And I pray God has me doing this the rest of my life.
Well, and I appreciate you kind of, that was super transparent, and I didn't know, what you would necessarily share, but I didn't necessarily
well, because
prepare
you put me
for
on the spot.
I didn't prepare
it's kind of not fair.
But I feel like there's something to it when people get to hear from us what we're thankful for.
Yeah.
I think it opens up conversation. It opens up reflection for their own lives too. That thankful spirit. I think that's
so.
Why
what are
Paul
you
writes
thankful
about,
for?
Okay, so you're going to flip it back. I
mean, why not?
Okay.
I mean,
you think about this last year. A lot of people haven't necessarily, and this goes back to 2020 as well. Because of COVID, maybe they haven't been able to travel as much to see their family. There's a lot of people who lost family over this last year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whether grandparents or parents, stuff like that. And I think about it, my family has been able to hold together. And in that, my parents, my brother and my sister-in-law and their daughters and my sister and my brother-in-law and their kids, we're all Christians. And so just this last year, I've become even more thankful for the fact that I have a family that all loves Jesus, and I have a family that in proximity has been able to see each other, and spend time together. We've been able to get together for some holidays and birthdays, and not every family can say that. And so really this year, maybe more, I'm 34 years old, and just reflecting back, this has been a special year.
You're getting old.
I am getting old.
Yeah.
To appreciate family. Another thing, and it relates in family, but just, and you probably can agree with this as a dad who's a little farther down the road than I am, but just a second year into it, the privilege of parenting. I am so thankful that God's allowing me to go through this right now.
Yeah.
And just the fun and joy it is to...
There are seasons that you don't look at it as a privilege, but I'm just kidding. That's a joke. No, I agree wholeheartedly with you. Yeah.
There's just something about it, and I don't know how else to say it, but it puts a smile on my face. And then the third thing, I hate to sound self-serving because it's not anything I did, it's everything God did. But in my job, in my calling here in ministry, I've gotten to personally baptize more people than I've ever got to baptize before.
Man, now that's exciting.
Yeah,
That is incredible.
A lot of them were middle school students, but I've gotten to take part with adults and with kids as well. And,
that's so fun.
I shared on my my own social media page recently, we got to do a baptism. And there was just something unique about the day. I was sitting there and I was watching these 2 elementary age kids get baptized.
Yeah.
There's a
I saw that.
There was a 4th grade and a 3rd grade boy.
Yeah.
And just the joy and like
No,
an anxious excitement.
the reason why I remember it, because afterward you told me, you said, "Hey, Mike, I really thought that they were going to cannonball into the baptistry because they were so excited."
Yeah.
How incredible is that?
Yeah, and I just sit back and I'm like, what a blessing! Like, God, you're so good that I just get to play a small part in just being there and witnessing life transformation on display.
Yeah.
And so just as this last year, those are just a couple things that come to mind. But we could probably sit here and talk for the next hour and let's start listing off because God is that good.
No,
right?
Absolutely. And I mean, even to, kind of jumping in on what you just talked about, just here within our church, we have so much to be grateful for. Just the transformation of lives that we've seen.
Yeah.
It's been week after week after week that people are getting saved, that they are giving their life to Jesus. And then they're coming and declaring that to the church in baptism. We've seen more baptisms than we've seen in a while. I mean, it's just incredible to see what God is doing in the life of our church.
And you think back over like some of the situations for baptism,
right?
Like whether they were in Resonate or now in the worship center space. We've had Sundays where we've had to, hey, we can't get everyone through the normal baptistry route. We've got to, kind of make special adjustments and either bring in.
We've had to pull cattle troughs on stage just because. To get through all of the baptisms that we've had. We've had people joke about these cattle troughs because, and we've only had it a couple times on stage, and it's not a regular practice. But I did have one guy say to me, he's like, "Man, what is going on with these cattle troughs?" And I said, "Man, listen," I said, "it's not our normal practice." I said, "We'd much rather maybe just use one space, maybe not put them into a cattle trough or a feeding trough or a watering trough." I said, "But man, there were so many people who wanted to get baptized that they were coming out of so many different places, so many different backgrounds that God has transformed their life. And they say, I have to be baptized right now. And so we had so many that we had to make adjustments. And so it was fun to see that type of excitement. Just to
and like you think through like in this last year, some of the we've had some unique stories. Like Mr. Jack, was 92 years old.
Yeah,
he got baptized just a little while ago. What a powerful statement that says, "Hey, no one has gone through that far in life and it's past it, right?" 92, God is still in the business of life change. And then you see these stories of kids from Vacation Bible School or conversations with their parents, like powerful, or summer camps, like just. It's incredible. It really is. Or the person who is coming out of an addiction or coming out of a season where they've been walking far from God and something clicked, an aunt's invitation, knowing that a grandmother was at church here praying for him and it brought him into the doors.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden God moved and we got to see it. It's just cool. It really is.
So, we're not about numbers, but there's a saying that we have here at our church that every number matters because every number has a name. Every name has a story, and every story matters to Jesus.
Absolutely.
And so, when we disconnect the story from the number, that's when it becomes this just stale practice of numerical gains. But that's not what we're about, because every single number that has come through to be baptized is a person who has been saved by Jesus Christ and who has been redeemed by the blood of Jesus, purchased by him. And so that matters.
Yeah.
It matters to us and it matters to Jesus. But just in the past couple of weeks, since September, we've seen over 40 baptisms. We've seen over with the student event, there's we've seen right at 32 salvations just since September, and that's pretty incredible. And then we've had almost 100 people just join our church family to lock arms with the mission of God here locally with this body of believers. And once again, those numbers don't matter. It's just what we're grateful for.
Yeah.
We're just grateful. We want to pause and we want to be reminded that that's not normal. Mm-hmm. That it's not normal for God to just do this, but yet that He is using this body of believers to impact the kingdom, impact this community, and throughout East Texas.
Well, and as you started off sharing, as you keep a prayer journal and what you're praying for, like these are seasons like Thanksgiving week. It's a holiday, national holiday. But the intentionality as Christians is for us to pause and reflect and say, hey, God, what have you done? Well, God, look at what you've been doing in and
that's
through
exactly
our church.
right.
And it's just so cool. These baptism stories, Michael, I'd be upset if I didn't reference this. You've already said it on a personal level for you, but as a church, we've got to be so excited that we've had a pastor transition happen. And I don't mean that in saying that there's anything wrong before. Of course, no, we love Pastor David. We miss seeing him every Sunday as he's out still serving and preaching. But it's abnormal for churches to have efficient, smooth pastoral transitions.
Yeah.
And the handoff that as a church we got to watch, especially those 2 Sundays in August with Pastor David and his family and you and Katie and your kids, and just there's so much power there. And then just to see as the church has come around you guys, it's been really special to watch. And knowing that it's abnormal and it's not, it couldn't have been manufactured by us just doing everything right. It's because God's working.
No.
And God's using it. And God is moving.
God used a man named David Dykes to really make sure that the church continues moving forward.
Yeah.
And, I've said it before, but it's really unfair because of David Dykes, he put me on third base. And it's really... I'm just so grateful for that. And, Pastor David almost bumped one of my kids out of that top 3 earlier. Okay. But he didn't. Okay. But he is a close 4. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, I'm so grateful for the way that Pastor David poured into me these past 2 years and still to this day. I mean, I still call him he still texts me and encourages me. And, we see him around the office every now and then. But here's the problem here, I would say that I would anticipate if we were to ask Pastor David that question, what are you most thankful for? I would say that maybe he would say that I'm retired now. But here's the thing. He's not retired. No. I mean, he's been preaching every single week around East Texas and in Alabama and Florida. I mean, he's been all over the place preaching. And so, but I'm just so grateful to him and Cindy and just their family.
And this is just a little thing about that. I mean, yes, he's retired from the profession of being the senior pastor at Green Acres, but he's not retired from his calling on the gospel.
No, that's
going to go with him for all his days. That he is going to preach.
And it's so
the good
obvious.
News.
It's obvious.
It's so good.
That's incredible.
Well, and one other story I want to reference here, just because of the theme of the year, right? 2020 was the year of shutdowns. Of hey, things are not normal. In 2021. At least in our context in student ministry, and I feel like our context as a church, we wanted to say, hey, let's really try to have a return to normal. Let's try to get back to some of the things that we missed out doing in 2020, and let's do them effectively. And as I sit back and I think here in November about what we've gotten to see, I mean, just selfishly, right? Student ministry, I can say this. We got to take students on mission this summer, and we got to go to camp.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to do that the last year. And to see that weight, the impact of that, in the lives of our students and their parents and our youth workers, in the communities we got to go back to that we've missed, and some of our mission partners around the country. It's just really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. And then I think about like Vacation Bible School.
Yeah. Man, we were so glad to have that back, man. All those kids and they're jamming.
Wasn't it fun? All right.
Hearing the gospel.
Mm-hmm. And it was all about, timed up with the Olympics. And,
absolutely.
You had me and Blake running around.
Why not? It was great. It was the perfect setting.
But we saw kids hear the story of Jesus and say, hey, I want to give my life to Jesus. Hey, I want to be baptized. And we saw that at a Vacation Bible School. And, those are just a couple little highlights with our kids and our student ministry.
Yeah.
But even like the return to connect groups, we saw new connect groups launching this year. We saw like a reinvigoration of Sunday mornings, and even the combining of our worship services. that has been an awesome blessing to see play out over these last
Oh
couple
man,
weeks. And
it's been so
the
good.
powerful moments in worship of seeing all generations, all groups in one room together. God is good.
There's much to be thankful for.
Absolutely.
And, and speaking of going back on mission, I'm grateful that Green Acres never shut down. I mean, the mission of God still continued, but now we are mobilized once again to be out and to go. And so we have a ton of opportunities coming up. This past weekend, we had Dr. Chip Wood here, president of IMB, and preached a great message. And but we were also able to unveil kind of some of our missional strategies for the upcoming year. And also with our goal for our World Mission Offering, I'm fired up about that because that fuels our ability to go well and to really fund missionaries and mission agencies and partners literally all over the world. It's been incredible to see. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how our World Mission Offering continues to make it there.
Well, and it's so fitting that we focus on that right as Thanksgiving's here, right?
That's right.
As people are reflecting, hey, what has God done? And when you start to hear stories of what God's done, or you reflect on your own life, how has God blessed me, or how has God moved in my life, it motivates you to action.
That's right.
Right.
Always.
It moves your hands and feet. And so, yes, World Missions Offering, giving towards that, potentially, hey, you may be sitting here and you're listening, or you've been a part of our services and you're here and you're like, man, I got to go. I got to go be a part of something. But even like this week coming into Thanksgiving, we have some great opportunities here locally that I think are a great intentional time for a family to say, hey, it's Thanksgiving week, but it's not just a holiday from school. It's not just vacation where we're going to grandparents' house. We're going to be the hands and feet of Jesus this week.
That's right.
And so one of those, our church is hosting a Feed Our Friends event, which we've done a handful of these, partnering with East Texas Food Bank to hand out food for families in need.
Yeah, and that's on Monday.
Monday, the 22nd.
Yeah.
And so we have signups for that. Then we also have on Wednesday, we have a bed build with Grace Embedded.
Which is the 24th.
The 24th.
Yeah.
And that's just a cool thing because those are beds that are going to kids in the foster system, kids in need of beds.
It's crazy because in the foster system, when you have an emergency placement or just even within the normal life of our foster community, beds is one of the most common needs. And so our church really has owned this for Smith County to make sure that every child has a bed. Yeah. And I love that so much. It's called Grace Embedded. I don't know if you said that already, but I love that because we want to extend God's grace in every way that we can. I'll tell you this too, because this past Sunday, we also released our angel tree, and which is one of the things that we're trying to accomplish is to make sure that people have a Christmas. Yeah. And this is one of those easy ways of being able to do that. And so you can check out more information on our website at gbc.org/missions. With it missions?
I think it's missions. Yeah.
Yes. We're looking to our tech guy behind us. He's giving us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Missions with an S.
Yeah.
Okay.
gabc.org/missions.
Thank you. And that kind of is our landing page for all things mission. You can sign up for trips. You can give because, not everybody can go. And we understand that, but everybody can participate. And so we want to be generous. I think one of the greatest Christmas gifts that we could give our community is to make sure that we could, fund all of the things that God is calling us to do.
Yeah.
And it takes all of us together. It takes all of us to reach our goal. It takes all of us to make sure that the ministries of Green Acres continue to move forward, because it's not the ministries of Green Acres. It is the expansion of God's kingdom because of the mission of God that He has placed us on.
Yeah. And we've just shared a few of the ways here at Green Acres you can be, serving and you can jump in with us during Thanksgiving week. But you may be listening and you're like, hey, I'm not in East Texas, or hey, we're traveling. Our family is in Oklahoma or Florida or Virginia or wherever.
Yeah.
And we're going to be gone this whole week, so we're going to miss out on some of these opportunities. But there are opportunities all around. Right? Think creatively as a family. How can I, this Thanksgiving week, serve my neighbors or serve my coworkers?
Yeah.
Or how can I be a blessing to someone else? And, talk about that. And if you're a parent, engage your kids in that conversation. I think these are great opportunities to model serving others and being the hands and feet of Jesus.
Sometimes the greatest missional effort is simply being kind, and so these acts of kindness really pave the way of gospel conversations. You never want to just be kind absent from the gospel, but it's compassion and proclamation running parallel together that we are called to. And so there's no better way to model that for your kids than for them to see you do it.
Yeah.
And so be compassionate, proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ in all that we do, because Thanksgiving is one of those opportunities that people are hurting. People are experiencing brokenness. They're experiencing loss. And the holidays have a way of really, pulling the scab off of those wounds. And there's no greater opportunity for the gospel to penetrate them than those times. And so we want to be compassionate. We want to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ to them.
And I think one final challenge I want to give to everybody, not only go serve, but as Michael and I kind of sprung on him to share 3 things you're thankful for.
Yeah.
I think it'd be powerful, just around whether you're gathering with friends or maybe you're gathering with your family, your kids. Have everyone just share 3 things they're thankful for.
Wouldn't this be fun if we heard everything that everybody was thankful for?
Absolutely.
All right, and so do this. We're going to put a link on here to our Facebook page, all right, or Instagram.
Yeah,
I don't really know
both.
how it works. Probably both, but I'm not a social media guy. I don't really know how to work it. Our comms team is annoyed with me constantly. But click on this link right here.
Right here?
Probably right here. And that's going to take you to a post that says something like, hey, what are you thankful for? And would you just let us know, what are you thankful for? Yeah. Go on there, click on it, and let us interact together, because there's no greater way than the body of Christ, the people of God, to remind each other of how we are grateful for what the Lord has done and how we are grateful for one another. That is something that is unique in the body, that we are grateful to the Lord and we are grateful for God's people. And so let's do that. But hey, we hope you have a great Thanksgiving week. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
I'm excited for Thanksgiving. I'm excited for some turkey.
Yeah,
I'm excited for
I got
some
my
time
stretch.
with family.
I'm going to put my stretch pants on.
Oh yeah,
turkey pants. That's too far. That's TMI. But hey, we love you guys, and we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, take care. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode and joining in on our conversation. If you liked what you heard or you want to know more about Green Acres, go check out our website at gabc.org or follow us on Instagram at gabc_Tyler. Have a great day.